Boys and girls, before we get started, we got something we have to tell you about because we're all at home. We're all trying to find stuff to watch, and there is a fantastic streaming service that you might not know about, but you need to know about, especially if you're a genuine love of cinema. And I know you are here with our being a listener in the seats with. It's about the service called Film Movement Plus. It's a fantastic streaming service that has a really diverse and eclectic selection of films all across the world, from documentaries to foreign cinema to some old classics to some modern ones and a little bit of everything else in between. And if you take a look there this month, they've recently added some great stuff like Shake the Dust, which is a documentary from a few years back, which takes a look at the cultural impact of hip hop and breakdancing in various cultures all across the world, and it's a wonderful film, and I can't recommend it enough. And there's other stuff like Karl Marx City, which dives into sort of the history of the German Democratic Republic, and sort of it allows the filmmaker to sort of trace her past and sort of give us facts, but in a very sort of artistic and fictionalized way. But there's stuff like Pretty to Durango from filmmaker Alex de la Iglesias, which just got added as well. Which is a wild film with Rosie Perez and Javier Bardem from back in the day. But it's one of those things where there's just all this stuff that you really do need to check out. And you know what? It's a scant $5.99 a month, and I mean, no one's really going to Starbucks anymore, so it's basically the price of a coffee. And because you are a loyal listener to us here at In the Seats With, not only if you sign up at Film Movement Plus, which is at filmmovementplus.com, you get a free month, but if you use our special promo code, which is SEATS, you get an extra 3 months at half off. That is a steal for all sorts of fantastic cinema. If you want to do that, please go visit them over at filmmovementplus.com, and remember to sign up with the promo code SEATS to get the special deal, and enjoy getting lost in a world of truly fantastic cinema, which we enjoy every day, and we hope you do too.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
Now more than ever, it's so important to support the homegrown content, and if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean that you're in the seats with once again. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm assuming you do, because you're listening to the podcast right now, you can subscribe. You can find us over at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, basically wherever you get your podcasts. And also, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. And if you can like and subscribe to us there too, we'd really appreciate it. Also, you can find us on the social media, as the kids are calling it. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please come pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest reviews and news from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large, because that's what we love to write about it and talk about, and we love it when you come by and read about it. So please come on by and pay us a visit. On this one, well, we're diving into some animated worlds. We're getting some homegrown content, but some homegrown animated content as well, as we're looking at the film Felix and the Treasure of Morga. And it takes us to the tale of young Felix, as it were, who's convinced that his father, who disappeared at sea 2 years ago, is actually still alive. And he embarks up on a search for him in the company of Old Tom, who's a retired fisherman around his town, Squawk, a thieving one-legged parrot, and Rover, a cat who acts like a dog. I had a cat who acted like a dog once. They happen. Their journey takes them to Dark Shadow Island, where a secret community inhabits an underground city ruled by the megalomaniacal Morga, possessor of a priceless treasure. And we had the unique pleasure of sitting down and talking with Morga, as it were, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it is Morga, We talked with the one and only Karine Vanasse, one of not just Quebec, but I would dare say Canada's sort of best acting talents that we have there out there. You may know her from films like Polytechnique and the recent CTV show hit Cardinal, which I'm a big fan of. But we sat down with her and talked about sort of doing voice work and sort of the challenges therein and sort of the fun part of it. And also getting to work for, do voices for a homegrown Canadian studio and not something that's sort of jobbed out from out of town. And it was a fun talk. And I really like Karina. I'm a big fan of hers. And I think by the end of this talk, you'll be a big fan of hers too. But if you've got some young ones, or if you just like your animated cinema, check out Felix and the Treasure of Morga. But first, I hope you enjoy our talk with Karine, because well, it's a good one, and it's a good primer if you wanna pick up the film or rent it. This coming Tuesday, May 25th, on all VOD platforms. It's not quite ready yet, but this coming May 25th on all VOD platforms for Felix and the Treasure of Morga. But enjoy it.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the time today. I appreciate this.
I'm glad to be here.
Now, I mean, obviously, congratulations on the film. It's super cute, but I mean, walk me through how you got involved, because it's such a tonal shift from Cardinal. It must have been it almost felt like a deliberate change of pace.
It's I'm really grateful for the kind of projects that I'm being offered, because they never really go in the same direction. So no, it was really I received the offer, I think maybe 2 years ago. And this specific production company in Quebec is quite well known for the quality of their animation, and animated films in Canada. That's not something that we do a lot.
No, it's true.
But they chose to focus on animated films. I think it was 10 years ago. This specific production company. So I was very admirative of that, and I know the success that the kind of success that their movies usually have in the attention. And I feel like they're, the distributors that they have connections with, I know that it's quite a well-oiled process for them to really get the movies made, but to make sure that those movies get seen internationally. So I was really happy to support that whole initiative. So when they offered me, I knew a little bit about the story, but that was so different, because usually in Quebec, when we are asked to dub an animated film, usually the whole movie is already made. You can hear the English actors, American actors who dub the characters, and then you just dub it in French, and that's it. But for this specific one, it was like, okay, no, the animation is not really. It's really at the beginning of the process, and you just record all these lines of dialogue that might change, but it's just to inspire the creators also to, animate this whole story that they already have in mind. And then you come back a few months after, and then you see the drawings, and it's slowly coming together, and then you come back a year after and you record new pieces of dialogues, and so it was really interesting to be part of the whole process, and work closely with the team, because it's rare that we get that opportunity here in Canada. Yeah.
I mean, did you get to sort of do everything in studio? I mean, just especially given what's going on in the world outside, like, did you have to do part of it sort of remotely, or because I'm always curious about the process?
So most of it we taped it before the lockdown,
okay.
And so some adjustments we had to. I had to come back to the studio to make some adjustments in the summer, and so that was okay, because everything we were slowly starting to be accustomed to this whole weird process. But anyway, even if we had to record the whole team in a studio, it would have been easy, because you're alone in a studio when you're already protected, because nobody else is around yourself, really. So, I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to do it in French and in English, because it's quite interesting to see. Sometimes I have to dub myself in French on Cardinal, for example. I do the French version, and it's so hard, because it's the acting is not necessarily the same, the way, because of the words themselves.
Right.
You don't go exactly in the same direction, so sometimes you're tied up to the to the original version that you did yourself, but you're like, no, I can't replicate it exactly the same. And it was the same thing with dubbing, if you watch the film in French, Morga, of course it's the same character, but she doesn't really have the same colors necessarily. So it was interesting to see that as well. Yeah.
How does the sort of the acting process change for you? Because I mean, obviously, like when you're in a booth, you're still working on a character, but you're not on set, you're not in the moment. You're basically in your sweatpants, sort of with a mic in front of you, trying to sort of build this thing. Like, how different is the process?
I'm actually lucky because here in Quebec we get to do a lot of dubbing because of the French versions of films that we have to often do. And I think that as an actor, because I had to dub so many American actresses, you know what to look for, even when I when I have to dub myself. So what I found, obviously what was different, but what was a little difficult for me or a challenge to adapt to at first was that, usually when you dub an American film, for example, well, you see all the subtleties of the performance, and then you apply your interpretation to that. But then when you're doing an animation, it's based also on your interpretation that they're gonna do all the drawings and the animation. So initially you don't have all the subtleties and you have to create them. So it's usually your voice. What I was used to is yourself, you're supporting and adapting to the interpretation that you already see on the screen. But I had to create it, but just with my voice, and that it was strange to just allow myself to go for it and have fun with it. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity, and I know that if I get to do it once again, I now envy all those American actors, working on these, studio animation film. And you're like, okay, so that's where the fun is. You can feel free to create whatever you want to create. And I think that now that I've been through this process once, I will know now that you can explode even more, because you're not tied to anything specific on the screen at the beginning of the process. And if it doesn't work, you'll just record it again a year after, and it's going to be a little tamed down maybe. But it was, so I'm glad I got to experience it once, and hopefully I'll get to do it again.
And you know what, coming at it from, because I hadn't even thought about that, coming at it from the angle of, having been someone who has dubbed other movies, it's a different headspace. I've got to imagine it's one of those unique experiences that you probably wouldn't be able to recreate even if you had tried.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so once again, it's great to learn. It's a job I love to. I love my job, but I love when opportunities are just pushing me in new directions, and that was definitely something like that. And I rarely play villains in series and in movies. So to know that my voice inspires that kind of character, it's great. But it's not rare that for dubbing, I'm called for these like, wow, characters that I would never be cast for if they were live characters. Yeah.
Now, this is something I'm curious about because, I mean, there are so many strong Quebecois talents who are working on both sides of the border. And I'm kind of curious, from your perspective, what is it about coming out of sort of the French Canadian film system that allows you sort of maybe a better sense of sort of how to work on the world stage?
I think one of the biggest qualities that we have in our backpack when we internationally try to make it out there and find our way. I think that we work really closely with crews here in Quebec. We're really close to the whole, we don't have stand-ins most of the time. So you really see, that's what I'm the proudest of, actually, that you're so close to the crew that you see them work and you understand their work. You understand the lighting process, even if you can't really say precisely what they're doing after years and years of being on sets. When I first worked on Pan Am, with actresses that had been doing it for as many years as I had. And I could tell that because they are so used to having stand-ins that you remove yourself from, the process for just enough minutes that you lose contact with what this specific job is about on set, and that when you come back to your lighting, you didn't get to see all the adjustments that they had to make in order for you to be lit properly. So I feel like in Quebec, you're so close to the whole process that you, without even realizing it, you assimilate, you just understand more than you actually think you understand about filming and lighting and everything. So I feel that we're quite well equipped. And some actors, they come from stage. You diversify yourself so much that I think that we're sometimes very well equipped for whatever we'll have to work on.
Well, and I mean, I love that you say that, because I mean, I think of something like Polytechnique, which I think is probably what a lot of Canadian, at least Anglo-Canadian audiences probably first saw you in. And it's one of those films that it has such raw energy, obviously, and there's this emotion and there's this power, but you get sort of the palpable energy of not just obviously the subject matter, but of the people in front of the camera and the people behind the camera making sort of this work. And I mean, it even translates to stuff Denny is doing in Hollywood today. It's one of those weird things where you can really see sort of that intense passion in the work.
And everybody on set, most people on set, when you decide that you want to work on films, you want to tell stories. So regardless of your position on set, you want to tell stories. So if you feel that you're an important part, if everybody on set feels that they're, an important little, that what they will do on set, the work that they will bring is important for the entire film. Yes, it's creating that, magical energy. And, we never know if a project is gonna work or not. But when that energy is really being felt by everybody on set, your chances of it being a better film or a good film are higher, I think. Yeah.
Now, thinking back, is there a movie or a moment in your life that made you want to tell stories?
Movie that made me want to tell stories. I remember when I think one of the first film that really had a strong impact on me when I was younger. Not a child. I mean, obviously there. What's this? I'm gonna look for the English title of it. C'est pas parce qu'on est petit qu'on peut pas être grand. It's not because you're small that you can't. Well, so it doesn't make sense. It's not a direct translation. But I think as a young, I don't know how old I was when I saw Philadelphia in the theater with my mother. I was quite young, but I remember the impact of, whoa, the emotion. I couldn't, when he's, with that scene with the Maria Callas interpretation of, what's the title of that song?
I'm forgetting too.
Anyway, that moment with Tom Hanks and just this music and that it was so powerful. I just remember the impact it had on me, and realizing that movies can take you to that place. I think, when I'm part of a film, when I watch movies, I don't care if they are not perfect from beginning to end. I just want one strong moment of pure, raw realness. I just want it to feel like, my heart was touched. I was moved. I was, taken away. I was exactly where the director and the whole crew wanted me to be at that specific moment. And I feel like sometimes you just need, when a movie can achieve that for just, 1 minute, 30 seconds, that's enough for me to be moved by cinema, being moved by, TV even now. When you reach that, authenticity through storytelling. And I feel
now I'm curious, going forward, I mean, obviously you can't tell the future, but do you see yourself working at home and sort of down south, sort of try to balance the two? Or is it just a question of sort of what comes across your desk at any given time?
I've been really lucky recently to be able to work on both sides. I would love to work in Europe more. It just didn't happen. I would love to, but I just want to, what's really important to me now is really to work with the directors and crews that I just want to be on set and feel that, we have this desire to tell a story and that we will give it everything we can creatively. And then, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least the initial impulse was really honest and real. And that's what motivates me the most. I just want to feel the passion. And it's an extraordinary job. But if you work on, I feel like it's easy to get bored also on doing this job, just like any other job. It seems very magical and exciting, but it can get very and I would be so sad to see my passion for this industry, for this work, leave me because I'm working on something that feels unexciting. And so I never want to feel that.
Well,
It's so precious.
and nor should you, because I mean,
Oh,
that's the thing that keeps the art going, and that's the key thing
yeah.
that keeps everybody going. And just congratulations again on this, and thank you for the time. And I just gotta say personally, I'm a huge fan of Cardinal, and I love the show. So congratulations on all of that as well.
But thank you. And I'm so proud that, it lasted for 4 years and that passion stayed with us through the entire seasons, and the passion from the fans as well stayed, and we were able to retain that. So it was a very special project, and hopefully there are more like that.
And it's, you know what,
And
it's Canadian TV that's making an impact all across the world, which is really an important thing as well.
it is. And I mean, there are so many movements right now in Canada for in TV, and I really hope that it was I don't know, I feel like for the past few years there was a momentum for Canadian TV, and I just hope that we don't lose it. I don't know where it's going right now, and I'm a little scared, I have to admit, because the momentum was there, and I know that it was a very I know that from the government, the intention was to create that momentum, and efforts have been, the efforts were there coming from all over from various aspects of and various angles in the industry. But it's not over. We're not quite there yet, and
No, it's
it
true.
would be such a shame to see all these amazing efforts just deflating because we think that we've succeeded, but I don't think we have to maintain it for a few more years. So I really hope that fiction will stay important for networks here, and I keep my fingers crossed.
I'll keep my fingers and my toes crossed, but thank you
Yeah,
again for the time. This was a delight.
yeah, thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you very
thanks,
much,
Karine.
David. Bye.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.